Is it you tonight? I thought it was going to be the manufacturing.
Yes.
It's you tonight. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we can do a couple of those.
Should we present on Skype?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Am I in the way here?
No, perfect.
Okay. I like to sit in front.
We kind of have the stage like cornered because we need to get all the camera angles.
Oh,
It's perfect, Dusty. But you know,
that one's pointed to me.
I don't think we'll
so I'm
fill all
good.
the seats.
You're
we have
moving?
this
Oh.
Anyway, I guess I see, well, a couple new people. Anyway, welcome to the Rocky Mountain Inventors. We normally meet second and fourth Mondays, 7 to 9, next door. So this is our last night in the auditorium for the immediate future. We'll be back in the old chapel, starting the next meeting. And so for the new people, we've been around since 78, a lot of different forms, with still the basic goal of helping the inventor turn their product into a business, and hopefully a successful business, because that's always the major challenge of people, both for time, money, and technology, and legal, and everything else. So just a disclosure warning, if you haven't already publicly disclosed, keep your idea secret, so you keep it trade secret status. And it's best not to disclose until you at least have a patent pending, provisional or non-provisional, or you have to use confidentiality agreements with people. But a provisional these days is probably the best way to go to be protected. Then you don't have to mess with NDAs with people that don't want to sign them anyway. Anyway, normally in our presentations, we have Q&A during the presentation. And let's see, upcoming, we've got a general business consultant coming, Thompson, I think, in the next meeting. And then I've got an entrepreneur coming, Ron Ferguson, who has built and sold several businesses, so he would be a good resource. And let's see, after that, I've got the revenue emphasis CEO coming. And then I'll probably have another entrepreneur coming in early April, try to get booked through early April, because I know people like to hear other entrepreneurs probably the most, and you know, what they went through in their manufacturing and sales process, and what's working, what hasn't. So anyway, I'll introduce Patrick, and you get the floor for the night.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Maag. I'm part of KLM Products Group, is my company. We're a marketing company. And really think that it takes three things to really make a product a success. First part is the inventor. The ideas that come out of there really starts there. Without you and your world-changing ideas, everything wouldn't happen. Then you got to find manufacturing. That's really what we're going to be talking about tonight. With Carmine Davisco of Inventors Launchpad, which also has the #1 podcast for invention in the country. He's joining us out of Tampa, Florida, from his office. And then it takes great marketing. You see so many products out there, and you got to sell it, you know, to make the money, to get to that next idea and go forward with that. So joining us via Zoom, Carmine Davisco, host of the #1 inventors podcast in the country right now, and owner of Inventors Launchpad. Carmine, there he is.
Hey guys, what's happening?
All right, you can see us too, right? And hear us?
I can see you guys. Very cool. Thanks everybody for coming out.
All right.
Well, listen, Patrick, thanks for the great intro. We do have a great podcast. If you guys ever are looking to get some extra information or fall asleep, it's kind of a good way to put you guys to sleep. We have a bunch of shows. We cover everything in the invention spectrum, all the way from product development through patenting. We have several different shows with different service providers. We have retail guys, packaging guys, as I said, patent attorneys. We also have the president of the United Inventors Association that has a show. It's called Tuttle Innovations. So we have a bunch of good shows on the network. So There's some good information for everyone. We're going to talk a little bit today about the process of taking your product to manufacturing. And feel free, if you have some questions, to jump in and ask them, because that's the best way that I operate, is by answering information that you might want or need, instead of just sitting up here kind of talking through the process. It's kind of always better to give you information that you're looking for tonight, because it is something that, you're looking for. If you're there tonight, it's a pretty cool, because that means you're looking for help. Do all you guys have inventions, or is it something that some of you guys are starting out with?
Starting out.
Maybe,
Yeah,
let's do the round robin.
Yep.
And then we'll introduce everyone. I'll speak a couple minutes, and then you can kind of see who's all here. You want to start, Desi?
Sure.
Let us know you can see and hear everyone okay.
So my name's Desi Padula, and I do have, I have one item that is on the market that I'm selling right now without a patent, and I'm working on making a change to it, and I think I can patent that product once it has that change incorporated into it. And I'm in the patent search process there. And then I have another 2 products in the line, so working on.
Wow, that's awesome. So you have a product that's selling. Is it in retail, or you're selling it on your website or Amazon?
Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and my website.
That's awesome. Very cool. Where are you manufacturing it?
These hands.
You're looking
I love
at
it. That's awesome.
I have a garage and I have an art studio, so I'm between, I live in
so
those 2 rooms.
U.S.-based manufacturing.
Yeah, I am the manufacturer.
With love.
But I need to, on this one product that I'm selling right now, I do want to eventually, it can't get, I'm holding it back actually because I can't afford, I can't handle much more volume. And I need to go into having it manufactured eventually, so.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to kind of give yourself a job. Kind of. That's what happens a lot when you're first starting out. You're making it yourself. You find yourself giving yourself a job, which is great because you can make sure everything's right. But at some point, moving to mass manufacturing is, obviously that's great if you can, and that's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who's next? What else we got out there?
My name's Steve, and I got a product called the Big Squeeze. It's a handheld tube squeezer, ergonomic. It's for the art industry and the hair salon industry, and I sell it on Amazon, my website, and I wholesale it to a few different art stores around the country. And I'm working on really penetrating the hair salon industry, getting into some of the bigger stores, and maybe on the grommet under the website here in a few weeks. But that's what I do.
How many have you sold?
Wow.
I've sold about 5,000 units so far, and produced 10,000. It's made in the U.S. It's made in St. Louis. One of the components made in Colorado. Actually, 2, packaging and gears. And I'm interested in potentially getting it into making it overseas somewhere to cut the cost. It's rather expensive to make, and I want to get the price, my MAP pricing down, and my so I've been kind of exploring China. I'm hesitant to go there because I have already been knocked off once, and I'd like to get some information like why Mexico is either not a good idea or a good idea. I've also heard India as a good option. So that's why.
What about
That's good.
the other parts of Asia,
Taiwan or Vietnam.
Philippines,
Yep.
Taiwan, Indonesia, Malaysia?
Yep.
I think a lot of people kind of have some interest in that, whether some pros and cons, that whole area. Yeah.
I've heard Vietnam.
Yeah, so all that is excellent. First of all, congratulations. Anytime I hear somebody selling a product, it's so cool because you guys know as inventors, sometimes we work on products forever and they're just products. So yes, China is one of those countries that, is feared on utilizing for your product. Products do get knocked off. I have a question for you. When you say it got knocked off, was it for sale, like on Amazon?
Yeah.
The knockoff?
The knockoff was on Amazon. I had to hire an attorney to get it off Amazon. It's still selling on Amazon Canada, but just through my experience on how difficult it is to get it to the wholesale accounts, retail stores, I'm not concerned. They copied all the photos from my website to put on the packaging, and they knocked off everything. They made a few tweaks here and there, but it hasn't caught. It still doesn't have any reviews on Amazon Canada, and it's not on Amazon US, and so I'm not really concerned at all.
Yeah.
I buy one
I did.
and then I review it and say, I'm the owner and that this is a knockoff of my product. Because it's hard to tell to get an Amazon review taken down.
What's that?
It's hard to tell to get an Amazon review taken down if somebody puts a bad
Yeah.
review up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I didn't want to get into a pissing fight.
Oh, yeah.
So there are other countries, obviously. If you want a little bit to talk about other countries, Mexico, Thailand, India. India is a tough country to do business with right now, where I've had good and bad experiences. If you are going to use India, you really need to have somebody over there that you trust. It's the wild, wild west over there. Definitely. They do great work, but it's very, very hard to find someone that you can trust over there. They're good people. It's just they're flooded with people that aren't, just like everywhere else. So you just got to be careful if you use somebody like India. But Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, they're all great choices. I can tell you that they can do the work for you. It's finding a factory that's good enough to make the mold. Most factories, even here in the US, you'll find that they'll make the mold in China and they'll have the molds shipped to them. They might not tell you that, not that they're trying to trick you or anything. It's just that China is very, very efficient at making plastic injection mold. They are. There's nothing we can do about that. So the factories that are in Mexico, I use Mexico. I have 2-3 projects going on in Mexico right now. I have had the molds created here in the US or China and ship them over. So they do great work. They just probably won't do the molds themselves. And sometimes the problem being is that if you have China or Thailand or somebody make the molds anyway, sometimes they could knock you off in that sense. So anywhere you go, you just have to be really careful. I have and am using right now Thailand, and they seem like they're really good. I have about 20 products going on in Thailand, and I haven't had any issues with them. But again, they do make the molds in China. So that's something that, you can really look into. But Mexico is great also, in Canada, also for tax purposes and shipping purposes. So when you're making a product in Mexico or Honduras or somewhere in South America or Central America, it's only a few hour flight to get over to your factory and check them out. Also, they can truck the products across the border. You don't have to stock as much. Retailers really love that because they don't have to order as much. They can place an order with you. You can get it for them in 30 days. And they get to tout that it's made in Central or South America or North America. And Canada's pretty good too. A lot of countries are starting to step up. But the trick is, if you want to do that, try not to discount getting the molds made in China or somewhere in the Asian countries, and then shipping the molds over. That's usually the most efficient. But otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of countries out there, and I've used a lot of them, and I still am using a lot. So any question you guys have, about any of them, I could probably help you with. There's probably no other, even when you're doing fabrics, Guatemala, Honduras, if you want t-shirts, there's nobody better. China makes them also, but India does pretty good. India does great with socks and heavy wool clothing. So there's a lot of different countries and different products and just kind of figuring out what works best, because then you got to add shipping, you got to add tariffs and taxes. So it's really a strategy of where you want to make your product more than just being safe. So you really got to put that strategy together, because the cost in reality is what really sells it. A retailer really doesn't care in the end run, except for that cost. So.
What about Mexico? I've heard that you have to, I don't know personally, but there's a lot of grease in the wheels down there to get the product moved to the States. There's a lot of payoff. Like I've heard
Unofficial tariffs.
Unofficial tariffs to get stuff moved around. And I had one person say, I don't know about Mexico because they've run into issues there. Have you had any issues?
Yeah. So there are towns that you want to stay away from. I can tell you that the ones that are close to our border are very easy to deal with. You could drive over and check them out. There are obviously, it's just like almost every country, good and bad factories, people that are just looking to make a buck. But again, it's one of those things where you really should try to find somebody that knows somebody there and go check them out. Maybe not at first, but because they're close. Mexico is great. I've done a lot of metal work in Mexico because it's heavy, it's bulky, and they can load it on a truck and bring it across the border very easily. So again, it's I use the countries as a strategy of the product that I'm going to make. So whenever we're making something heavy and bulky or something in that sense, I almost always use Mexico factories. So I know people out there. I use what I call a rep. I used to have somebody on my payroll in Mexico, but he since moved. But whilst I was working with him, I met several people that I do business with there. So yeah, it's one of those things where you can't really be hands off if you go to a country like Mexico or India. Thailand's okay. They're not too bad, but you really want to know someone almost anywhere you go. It's pretty scary. I can tell you guys, I've sent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to China and Thailand. When I hit that button on a wire for $60,000 or $80,000, I mean, I don't even sleep that night. It's a lot of money to send over. Even when you've been doing business with them for years, you just never know what's going to happen. So you really, again, you have to trust the people that you're working with. And you have to do business with them in a sense. So I currently have a third party that actually lives in Thailand that I pay. I send all the funds to him, and then he will distribute that money to different factories. It's like another step in security for us because we're working with our clients' funds, and we want to make sure that everything's safe. So it is something that you really have to think about. So I'm glad you're thinking about that before you go and move forward. But what I can say is, try not to let too much fear stop you. And it doesn't sound like it is. But in essence, like you said, you've been knocked off, so I can see why you're worried. There are some good countries. If you need some help, like if you're going to go to Mexico or you want to go to Guatemala or somewhere, let me know, and I'll put you in touch with some people out there.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm specifically looking for aluminum extruders.
That
should be a no-brainer.
That's great. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. It just, again, you can have them either made here, which would be super expensive. I could tell you that Brazil is starting to do some mold work. We could check with them when you're ready. Or again, Thailand might be able to help you with that, or obviously China. But we can check with several different factories. What I use is what's called a tooling factory. All they do is tooling. So they're not like a factory that does the plastic injection. So I use a tooling factory in China, and that's all they do. So I could just order the tooling, and they don't care where I want to send it. So if I want to send it to the US or Mexico, Canada, or China, a factory, they have no reason to worry about it. They just make that product. A lot of times, the tooling guys that I use, they don't even know what the product's for. They don't even know what it does. They just cut the tool, and they send it over to the factory, and the factory will make the final adjustments, and it's done. So when or if you ever want to do that, let me know, and I can send you some contacts.
You wanna go, Bryce?
Yeah, I can go. So my business is a 3D printing and design to engineering idea, product manufacture, or improving the current processes of small businesses with 3D printing technology.
Lose them?
So you provide a service?
Hey guys, if you can hear me, you're breaking up a little bit. So it's going to reset in a second probably. So hang on 1 second.
Yeah, you're.
It's just showing that your internet is a little slow over there.
Copy.
Hey guys, you there?
Yep.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, I've had that happen a few times. I wasn't sure if it was on my end, but I just checked. It's reset a few times. So if you could start that again, I didn't catch too much to that.
I have a 3D printing engineering services business, so design, engineering, consultation for small businesses, startups, anybody who wants to either utilize 3D print to improve their services or take a product from idea to mass production.
Awesome. Was there a question?
I guess I don't really have a question per se, because I'm mostly just doing outreach, networking.
No, that's awesome. I mean, what you guys are doing with 3D printing is really cool. We use a lot of the 3D printer guys here in my area to help perfect products before we go to production. So I think it's awesome the stuff that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg.
Hi there, Carmine, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good, thanks. All new to me, this is crazy. I came up with an idea I played frisbee golf, disc golf one day with my buddy Nick here, and you get like disc golf is kind of big out here in Colorado, and there's actually a professional golf disc association, so it's kind of big. So I was thinking about, we were playing, and I had they come with a starter, a 3-starter of 3 discs, and I had my beer, my little cooler, I had my bag from the supermarket, and I popped it down, I played frisbee, and then I put my beer down, and I picked my thing up, and I got my thing, and then I walked, and then, I put everything down, and I did my disc again, learned this game, and then I picked up my bag, I knocked my beer over, I picked my beer up, and I kept going, and I'm like, there's got to be some kind of holder for this. So I came up with a vest, like a sports vest to hold these discs. And I have a couple prototypes. I got a trademark, and patents pending. And the next step is, I got 2 of them. We're going to go out. We're going to play on a course here locally in Colorado, and we're going to, test drive them, if you will. And it's a really light material we got. It's called Riptide out here in Colorado. It's Riptide, which are very thin. So so there's some questions on the prototype, of course. But we want to get this moving into the next step, manufacture, and hopefully sell a couple.
That's awesome.
See what happens.
Well, Carmine said that your fabric, right? That you're more of a vinyl.
It's not vinyl. It's
fabric?
very light. It's like a camping material or
Like a nylon.
Yes. It is absolutely
like a ski jacket outlet.
Exactly. The shell.
That kind of material he's making that stuff.
So the prototype's a little light. We're a little. We're a little concerned about it standing up. But
Yeah.
this is all new to me. This is the prototype. There's also the original prototype I made was a construction vest on the side of the road, one of those, and I safety pinned material, towel material, with a curve in it, and the discs fit in, whatever. So, you know, that might be a little higher, a little coarser, a little more grain.
It's like a little thicker and
Yeah,
has
it's
its own
thick, whatever.
stiffness.
So I don't, so that's where I'm at, you know, so, we're still, I'm still, yeah, we're still R&D. So early into this, thank you. And, you know, and this meeting here might be a little in the future for me, probably is in the future for me, but was hoping to get some information. Oh, we locked up. Copy. So that's where we're at. Hey,
Did you hear that last part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, very cool. So I was glad when you said disc golf, because
Thank you. It's not frisbee.
yeah, regular golf is very hard to break into.
That too, yep. Still always learning that game, yeah, you betcha.
Yeah, and what I like about what you're talking about is when people get into a sport like disc golf, they're probably looking for something like that to hold their beer and hold different things.
Thank you.
Because really, you're not really there to play disc golf. You're not really there to play disc golf. You're there to drink some beer.
That's exactly. That's regular golf.
So I think you're on the right track of building some prototypes, proving the product is very important to make sure that the product that you have, obviously, listen, you're never going to perfect it. Don't perfect it because you'll wait too long. You know, got to add another pocket, or we got to do this. Just get it to as close as you can, get it out there and see what people think. Think about there's 11 different versions of the iPhone. If they waited, they wouldn't have made all the money on the other 10. So just get your product out there, let people wear it, beat it up, but let them give you money for it, and you'll be a lot happier. So if you get a sample that you think is close to what you want, you know, then you can decide on either having somebody close by, maybe you know, some kind of seamstress make a few for you, and then, or you know, obviously, a product like that, you can go into Mexico or talk to some people in Guatemala or Honduras, somewhere close, even Canada. Canada does some great work with outdoor products, camping, as you mentioned, and things like that, which is the same type of material. So there's a lot of choices. If you need to go low cost, then we could go to China or Thailand or somewhere Asia. Even Indonesia would do good with that product. So depending on who you're going after, if cost is a huge factor, that's where the strategy would come into where you should make it.
Shouldn't cost be a huge factor?
Yeah, cost is huge. Cost is the biggest factor. You know, a lot of people don't want to buy stuff from China, but when they have to take money out of their own pocket, they buy stuff from China. You know, it's terrible, but that's, you know, all of our retailers that we put products to, all they care about is price.
So,
You know, it's
I did get I have one lead for a manufacturer in China, and but I haven't acted on it yet. But you're saying like, I mean, I would like other options. You're saying there's other countries.
Yeah. So having a lead in China is a scary thing, because you don't know who you're talking to there. So just, again, be careful. I have people in China. I could send somebody to a factory for you. They'll walk in the door and make sure they're a real factory. So I can tell you this is a perfect piece. If you're talking to somebody in China and they can't give you an answer, they say, I'm going to have to check with the engineer, or I'll have to check, or somebody's out to lunch, then they do not work for a factory. So if you can't get an answer very quickly from somebody you're talking to in China, they do not own, they do not work at a factory. They're just going to go and find somebody to do the work for you. If they're talking to you on the phone, they will have an answer for you if they're a true factory. And I talk to I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night talking to China on WeChat. I talk to them all day. I speak broken English for half the night.
I love it. Okay. All right, so I'll be getting your contact information before I leave tonight, correct?
Yeah, and I won't get in the way. I can give you the factory. You can talk to them. I can give you a rep. You can talk to them directly, or I can help you. Either way, I just would love to see you get the product made at the right price. Either way.
Thank you.
I have enough projects to do, and if you need help, I would love to help you, but I can certainly put you in touch with whoever you need.
Thank you.
So yeah, China, again, China's a great place to make stuff. You just gotta be careful who you work with. So if you work with a trusted factory, you're okay sometimes. Just like here, I've had U.S.-based factories make copies of products on. So people do it here in the U.S. also. It's just China does 1 million products a day, where the U.S. does 100. So it's just more prevalent there because they're just doing a lot more. You can't throw a rock in China without hitting a factory.
What is like a starter? I have no idea. Like, how many units would, I mean, if I were to start, like, but I see TV shows, I need 1,000 units, I need these units. You said 10,000.
My manufacturer in St. Louis, minimum order quantity was
10,000.
5,000.
Right, okay. I know, so
Yeah.
You can do
there's
less.
options, there's a lot of
You
options.
can do less, but they're just gonna charge you.
Okay, all right, the more, so I guess a 10, 5,000, 5,000 is a good starter kind of number.
Yeah.
1,000.
So
Depends on what's going on.
A
lot of
my
variables.
suggestion is to try to get the lowest amount of quantity made, because as soon as you get it, you're gonna realize,
I got too much.
I need to make this change, I need to do this change.
Right, because then
This
you're
isn't
stuck with
working.
inventory.
Right? I wish I had made $1,000 order,
Thank you,
because right out of the chute, I had a problem.
thank you.
I had to fix it, and I had to sell out. It's fine, it's just a few times it's
Minimal.
caught.
All right,
caught
thank
me. But even at the minimum,
I
I
got
got it.
I didn't
I would
know.
have paid more to just do the first one, like a short one.
yeah,
Because you're gonna
Right,
learn.
he-
because you can-
he's 100% right.
You're not gonna get all
he
the
wanted-
testing done.
Okay, right.
The real testing happens when it hits other people's hands,
Yep,
right? And unfortunately, you're not gonna know that. You must have a really elaborate testing
Right.
facilities.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find out, and you're gonna be like sitting on a ton of units, wishing you had figured this out.
Yep. Thank you. I can't thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so he's 100% right. You want the smallest amount, spend the least amount of money possible, because the first version is going to get some changes done to it. The problem that you will have is if you're looking for a specific material, if you're very specific with your product, then the factory has to either order a roll of fabric or they have to get it made. So there might be a minimum order if you're very specific, or it's a material that isn't very prevalent. So when you ask for a certain material, you might want to ask if they have something close. Do they have something that they can replace? And again, if it's very specific, I want 92% lycra and 8% cotton, and they don't have that, and they have to order that material, then they're going to have to charge you for a large amount of quantity. But if you say, hey, what do you have? And you have 90%, lycra, 10% cotton, you're like, well, that sounds good. I'll take that. And again, for your first order, get the lowest amount possible. He's 100% right.
Did you?
That's
You only made a couple?
Two.
Before
And they
you
weren't
invest in making 1,000 or something, wouldn't it be smart to make 50 and go test market them?
Well,
And get them out to the people that are wearing them and let them
I
tell
don't
you
think
what's
you were
wrong?
getting,
No,
your
we're not.
cost was too high to go with quality.
they were $200 a piece.
Huh?
They were $200 a piece.
Whew.
And it was $100 for the patent. I just got a large and a small. I went to a seamstress through a friend of mine who, she's a professional, she works for movies and stuff. And that's what I got. So they're nice. It's a very nice.
Well, you know, at least you got something you
I
can
got
send to
something,
the
yeah.
factories. and
Right,
get quote
then
on.
but yeah, definitely, I agree with you, yeah, I mean, but I can't afford $200 a piece.
My suggestion would be to, take the prototype out now and do the testing, just.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do, R&D, yeah, I got one for me and one for him. We're gonna go out, we're gonna beat on them a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I would
Have some
suggest
other
not just
people.
with you guys,
Yeah.
but with other people.
Oh, we're good, sure. Well, say again?
Total strangers.
With total strangers.
Oh, yeah,
not
we're
just
gonna,
yourself.
we're gonna go to the links, if you will, and
Yes.
put them on and go golfing.
Well, I would have someone else wear it too, and have them give
It's
you
only,
feedback.
oh, I got you, thank you, yeah, oh, sure, totally.
Yeah, feedback.
Got you.
Because they
yeah.
don't
because
have
you don't know
that
if there's a
inside
market.
edge.
Yes, exactly.
One thing, I kind of made my
Oh,
product
that's interesting.
thinking there's a market, because
Yeah.
there's product out there like it. But I never did the due diligence up front to decide, is there an actual need for this,
Run it through.
right? So until you know there's a pain point, like you guys have a pain point, but do other people see it that way,
True.
right? Until you do the market research,
That
and
can
ask
determine a
like
lot
100
before I move forward.
people, right? I've got 100 people, and if nobody,
Bites,
if
then I
nobody
have a
thinks
problem.
it's a problem,
I might have a problem.
then it's nice to have for you guys, but then you just save yourself a ton of money,
Exactly.
a lot of times, and move on to the next project.
Well, and another thing too is you also want to make sure, do people know what your product is? Sometimes you want to just hand it to the person and just say, what do you think this is? How do you use this? Put this on. Where do these discs go? Can you figure it out? And just see people interacting with your product, because a lot of times that designed message, you need to make sure that you're communicating to the customer how to use your product. Because if they don't know how to use it, then they're going to get that product in.
And make sure you're listening.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, because not just you telling them
Yeah.
how, but make sure you're listening to what they're telling you or the questions that they're asking you. So,
Oh, I'm allergic to success.
no, no.
I'm allergic to spending money, so I'm right with you.
Hey, give me a tissue. We're going in. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Roger,
Yeah,
thank you. He's a great man.
So you were saying, Carmine, that everybody gets their molds from China because they're the best, no matter where you make it in the world, for plastics, right? And that's a good thing to know.
you know, China's the best at making the molds for plastic injection. And so, yes, they are the best at that. They're just very good at making those molds perfectly. There's a lot that goes into it. Even when you get CAD files done, as our 3D printer guy is there, the factories have to adjust those files for the different type of plastic that you're going to use, the heat expansion, how quickly it's going to cool. There's a lot of adjustments that have to be made before they cut those molds. And, that's where the engineers in China they just excel at making those molds. So, if we can get those molds done and ship them to anywhere in the world, the factory that has those molds will do a good job. But don't get me wrong, I have guys here in the US that cut molds. They're just 5-10 times the price, so it's very tough to recoup that on your first run. I'm all for US manufacturing if we could get it done at a price that everyone could afford.
Well, but China does the highest volume. They're obviously the most experienced and most efficient. So.
Can you say that again?
Because China does the highest volumes, they're the most experienced and most efficient.
Yeah, I think it's just, you got to look back to, 10 or 15 years where Japan was doing what China's doing now. And it just progressed from Japan to China. And in a few, maybe in 10 more years, it's going to go to another country because the people in China are making a lot of money. So their kids, as that next generation comes up, may not want to work in that factory anymore, just as what happened in Japan many years ago. So, that manufacturing is going to slowly transfer to somewhere else. And hopefully it will be in South America or somewhere closer to us. Maybe it'll be here in the US, but it's very tough to maintain that kind of output for a country for a very long time. But right now, yeah, they do the most volume in plastic. These guys are fast. I mean, I have sent them things, and it's nothing to brag about, but I have sent them product or 3D print, and they've copied it exact without even CAD files, and cut those molds very quickly, and are making product right away. They're very, very good at what they do, but that's also something that's scary. We have to do worry about getting copied and getting knocked off. So it's one of those balancing acts, and you're just not sure what to do. You just got to be careful, but don't let the being careful stop you from going to market, because you got to remember something. If your product is very successful and you're making a lot of money, someone is going to make a product to jump into the market.
Yeah,
And it's called competition. Your product might be round, their product might be square. All we have to do is make sure we continue to make a good product for a good price. Apple doesn't really care too much what Samsung does. You know, they worry and they fight back and forth, but in reality, they both have enough customers. So the trick is to make a good product at a good price, because either way, someone is going to jump in the market on you, whether they copy your product or not. There will be a competition coming up behind. There'll be a version or two behind you, but there will be competition at some point if you're making money.
Hey, real quick, so Nick and I are we're at a frisbee, we're at a disc golf course. We have these things on, and people go, somebody likes it, they want to buy one. I mean, what do I say? I don't have them, or I just invented it? I mean, what's the protocol? Is there an SOP?
Let their email.
Get their email, go, I'll get one for you. So you can. Give me 6 months.
No. Create a landing page, create a website, and have a place where they can go get information, let them know.
Pre-orders.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And not even just pre-orders, but, you know, to get information from you when you have it available.
I have a website.
You don't have a price right now. You don't have a delivery date. But you do have the ability to take an email, have them sign up for an email list, and you'll let them know when it's available.
Got it.
Yeah. Unless you have a seamstress that can make them, then take their money. Anytime somebody wants to give you money, take it.
Okay.
I carry one of those square swipes with me all the time.
I got the change guy. You know what I'm saying? I'll make change for him. Okay.
Yeah, as soon as somebody gives you money for your product, it's a great feeling.
So it's not in circulation yet. Can I get your email and I will get back as soon as I have them ready?
Yeah.
Just tell them it's a process. Yeah, just tell them the truth. Okay.
Tell them the truth.
Can't go down with the
You might want to get a provisional patent just to say it's patent pending.
Well, Roger, be honest with it.
Roger? Did you hear that?
Yeah, you're patent
I'm
pending.
fine. I'm PP. I'm P squared.
Oh, okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, show everybody.
P2. Okay, good.
Well, then tell
You
them
just
that.
gotta
Tell
get
them
out
just
there
working
and,
out the manufacturing.
make
Okay,
and
I'm just
sell
curious.
it and
I don't want to,
make some money.
I just want to do it right, because I don't know. I don't know. We got 2. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
I would even tell them, hey, this is a product we're working on, we're testing.
What do
it.
you think?
Would you like to test it out, try it, give it
Would you test this out for $5? All right, cool. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, you look slim. Give me that one there. Because I have a large and a small. So we'll make sure we'll give the girls some. Because I'll tell you, this is taking off.
The great part is to tell these guys the truth. Tell them that it's a brand new product.
Yep.
A lot of people like to be involved with that, just like Kickstarter and all stuff. So tell them the truth that they're a brand new product. You're just taking production orders. You're going to let them know you want to get their feedback. Tell them the truth. You know, it's this way when they get it, if there's a few little small things that they would change or would like, they're going to give you, people love giving feedback. They love telling you what they think of your product. The best is that they're going to give you money for them to tell you.
Have you thought of doing like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign?
What do you mean Kickstarter and whatever you said?
Indiegogo.
Social media?
No, it's crowdfunding.
But I did it.
All right, Crab, and it's,
We talked about it.
it costs a lot of money just to get on the site. Right?
Hey, that only got a couple minutes left. Anybody else have any
I
questions?
got a couple more bucks. Okay, cool.
I'd like to know the whole process from being, and it's not something you can answer in a couple minutes, but the whole process of taking a product
I
that
actually
I make myself.
I actually have a full process. We wouldn't be able to cover it in the hour, but I can email it to you. If you give Patrick your email,
Okay.
I can send you a PDF on our whole process of what we do. It's a step-by-step guide. We've run about 3,000 products through it. Obviously, every product is different, so it changes a little bit, but it works for almost any product. And I would love to send it to you. You can take a look at it. I'd love to get your feedback on it.
Okay, thank you.
And I already have your email and stuff, so I can
Okay,
get that to
Yeah.
you.
thank you,
No problem.
Patrick.
Yeah, and I'll also send you guys a PDF of a book. I have a book out. I can send you the PDF version of it. It kind of step by step through the process also. I have to give it away for free. Nobody would buy it, so I'll give it away to you guys. But yeah, I would love to send that stuff to you again and get your feedback on it.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Great, awesome.
I want to ask you, with the new trade deal between Mexico, Canada, and US, are there any tariffs right now going in through Mexico, or, I mean, you have product made in Mexico or Canada?
No, so not yet, especially with a new product, which is awesome. So even the tariffs that were put on with China and different countries. What's great about having a new product is we get to give it a new tariff code when you have a new product. So if I had a product that was selling for the last 10 years and they put tariffs on it, then I can't do anything about that. I'm going to be charged that tariff. But if I have a brand new product and I put a new product tariff code on, I am going to search for one that has a very low tax code. Okay, so that's what's okay about new products. And they really the tariffs didn't affect us new products much. But Canada, Mexico, no, there's no real cost coming across the border. And that's why I love that you're thinking about making a product in Mexico or North or South America or something like that, because it's a great place to make a product, and it is fun to bring it across the border and not have to pay anything.
How much cheaper would you say China is in manufacturing versus, say, Mexico?
So depending on the product, you're probably looking at least 30% cheaper. And here's the thing, it's all on quantity. China is very expensive if you want them to do all the work and only going to order 500 units. You're going to spend a lot of money. But if you're going to buy 100,000 units, their pricing is great, a lot cheaper than anywhere in the world. Even the 3D manufacturing is a great way to go if you only need a small amount of product. So utilizing 3D is a good way too, to test the market out on certain products. But China will always be lower cost, but the quality may not be there. The speed may not be there because you have to ship it. So shipping comes into play even without the tariffs. If you want to go slow boat, it's not as expensive. But if you need to air freight something, you got to add. I have products that the shipping costs more than the product.
So you said it's 30% cheaper than Mexico, roughly?
Say it again.
You said China's 30% cheaper than Mexico?
Yes.
Depending on the quantity, but right now I would say even 30% would be a good number, depending on the product too. But when we're talking 30% of a low cost, Mexico is low cost manufacturing, and they're very good.
So how much cheaper is Mexico than US, would you say, in general?
Oh man, I hate to say it, you guys get mad at me, but it's a huge difference. U.S. manufacturing is super expensive on most products. I wouldn't even begin to say, but always try to price it out. It doesn't hurt. I can tell you this, that I've sent quotes out to factories here in the U.S. and while I was waiting for the quotes, I had already gotten quotes from either Mexico or China, and I was manufacturing the product before they even got back to me with the price. So it's tough. It really is. I would love to do all my products here in the U.S., but it's just not feasible.
As Mike Lindell, My Pillow, how did he make it work?
Well, he's got his
Yeah, so
own
Mike
factory.
Lindell is a friend of mine. I just had him on my podcast the other day. So Mike Lindell sold $20 million worth of pillows, and he lost money his first 3 years. He lost money. Then he built his own factory. He got funding, and he makes money, but he has to sell so many pillows that it's unbelievable. And he'll be at the hardware show in Vegas. But if you have a question for him, I can get a question to him. I stopped my podcast, but he will tell you that he makes stuff in the U.S., but it's very, very, very hard to make money.
Yeah. Wow. Is it hard to take tooling from U.S. to Mexico? Is that a problem, like setting up a whole shop in Mexico with U.S. made tooling?
It's not that hard, but I can tell you, like, it's hard to find English-speaking workers in Mexico. They're not as prevalent. Like in China, everyone is brought up speaking English. Well, not everyone, but many people are brought up speaking English. They speak English very well. They actually come here to go to school. But if you try to go to Mexico, you definitely need to have somebody that speaks Spanish with you. So that's one of the barriers that is holding them back. China has developed their whole society to do business with us. It's very easy to do, but other countries haven't caught up yet. So I mean, I can jump on the computer and talk with people in China just like this, and they're talking great English, but I can't do that in Mexico. I have to go through a third party. I have people that speak Spanish in my business on my team, but if you don't speak fluent Spanish, it's a little tougher. So yeah, so you can also go to the consulate if you're going to go and deal with Mexico or Honduras or whatever country. You can call the U.S. consulate in that country, and they'll put you in touch with someone who will help you do business with that country. They actually want the business. So that's one way and they'll give you some discounts on taxes and production if you work with that country. So there are ways to start dealing with other countries. They, believe it or not, they do want us to work with them.
What's a good way to find manufacturers in Mexico? Is there, I mean, there's a good website or you gotta know somebody?
Yeah, so there's a couple. There's one called M as in Mark, Frank, George, mfg.com. And there's a couple of, I can send some lists. Obviously Alibaba is like the most prevalent, but it's a jungle, so most of the people, I'd say 95% of the people you talk to on Alibaba, they're not real true factories, and you can't go by the price that they show because they're talking about millions of units for that price. It is a good starting point, but Alibaba is very dangerous to use. But there are a couple different sites to find manufacturing, and I'll send them over to Patrick, and he'll distribute some of them. And again, if you need something, just reach out to me. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. I have 60 projects right now running in 7 different countries. And believe me, it's not through because I'm the greatest. It's just through attrition. I've made a lot of mistakes. And if I can help you guys not make them, I would love to.
Thank you. That's awesome.
All right, cool. So Patrick, you there?
I am.
All right, man, you want to close up the show?
Yeah, well, I want to thank everyone for coming in. I'll stick around after the meeting if you've got any other questions. Like I said, if you've got anything that you need, questions, just swing it through me. I can correspond through Carmine, give you the answers you need. If you want to work with Vendors Launchpad to bring your product to market, get quotes on manufacturing, work through that process, I can definitely facilitate that for you too. So I'd love to work with any of you. Thank you, Carmine.
Thank you, Carmine.
Yeah, thanks
Yep.
for staying up late.
Yep. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Talk to you later, bud.
What was the podcast you mentioned?
Inventors Launchpad.
Inventors Launchpad?
Yep. It's the name of the company too.
Oh, inventors or adventures?
Inventors
I
Launchpad.
got that, okay. And there was something about a book.
He's written a book also, and we'll send you a PDF of that. So I just need your email address.
You got it.
Yep.
You got a couple cards.
I do, right up here, right up here. Yep.
I give my address. This is awesome. This has been very, very nice.
So yeah, you learned fabrics or what?
I learned
Central and South
I learned way too
America
much.
and some in Canada.
Was
Exactly.
Okay.
Canada's more the higher end as far as fabrics go. So you think about the high-end ski equipment, those kind of things, big parkas, $200, $300 parkas, that kind of stuff. That's more Canada if you want that high quality. Central America, if you want apparel done, no one better right now. Honduras, yeah. Guatemala is really good. And like I said, the best thing about it is that from here in Denver, you can jump on a plane and be in Guatemala.
Yeah, you don't have to cross
within-
an ocean.
Yeah, you got a passport, you're there within, what is it?
2-3 hours.
3 hours. I was there with my wife a few years ago. I think it was a 3-hour flight down to Guatemala City. So, I mean, it's like going across state, and that's a big advantage versus going to China and going to those.
Yeah, because you don't spend a whole day and a night.
Yeah.
Just getting.
The other thing with China right now with the trade wars going on, it's a challenge.
And
And the virus is a challenge. I'm dealing with a project right now it's soil amendment project for fertilizers, for agriculture, as well as for soil amendments, just for potting soil and those kind of things. It's being manufactured in Inner Mongolia, which is just south of Mongolia. And the factory was shut down for 2 months because of the virus issues that we're dealing with. So we're just getting there right now. And actually the shipping costs are going through the roof. So this project, we can do it in a short container, which is a 20-foot container. We can do 17.5 tons in there. To get it to Denver, I just got a quote yesterday, $5,900 for that container to get here.
You
Is
know,
that where the
my
shipping was
competitors-
costing more than the product?
Yeah.
I'm talking to manufacturer right now, and it's a choice between what are we going to do? Now we got to prove the market. We may just go with it and get the product here, just like you're saying. Short run, it's only a 20-foot container. Let's prove the markets, get some stuff sold out there, and then it may, if this doesn't change, we may need to move manufacturing here, which could be a good thing. The other thing we're dealing with is the tariffs, which is just like I said, with new product, you pick what tariff unit. We're going through that process to figure that out because a fertilizer right now is under D301, I believe, which is a 25% tariff on that product. That takes it out of the realm of possibilities, and I think I can get it under a different one, but finding someone that knows exactly what's going on with the tariff issue has been a challenge with that project. It really has, because of how fluid the situation is. It's changed a lot within the last 6 months, from here to here to here. And someone going on the record, documentation of saying it's going to be 10% or 25%, so and if it comes to the port, you've got to pay that bill, you can go back to something. Getting someone to do that's a challenge, for sure.
Right now, this is last week,
Uh-huh.
my sales are spiking and my competitors are all made in China.
Mhm.
But my sales are spiking and I'm thinking it's my made in USA
Yeah.
that is
have your card
causing
too?
that because of the virus,
Just write your stuff right there.
You got it, will do.
which I don't mind at all.
Yeah.
What do you sell?
That's our earring holders that hang on the
I got my
wall.
pen.
I got a pen. You got a pen?
Earring holders that hang on the wall.
Okay.
And I custom mill and custom make every element of them.
Oh, okay.
So they're made out of a picture frame. It's a modified picture frame specifically for, to attach earring holder contraptions to it so you can hold earring holder rails.
Oh,
They're
okay.
really simplistic.
Yeah.
So, and that's my motto. I work full-time with Denver Public Schools, so my motto is keep it simple.
Yeah.
I have to.
You should check out our website. It's really a cool invention. I don't wear earrings, of course, but
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. So it's
Thank
really
you.
neat. Yeah.
Is there different tariffs between like Taiwan and Philippines?
Yes.
So they're all different.
Yeah.
What about Taiwan? I've heard good things about working with them over China.
Taiwan's interesting. Yeah,
More
yeah,
costly.
yeah, yeah. The biggest thing is, look all over the world. And that's where Inventor's Launchpad comes in, and why we became associated with them. One of the problems I had with Kalen Products Group is that we've really been on the marketing side, bringing e-commerce, multi-channel marketing, developing websites and all that other stuff, as well as fulfillment and customer service beyond that. So you can work a full-time job or create that new invention if you want to do that. I met Carmine a while back, and we've become pretty close friends. And really, with his capabilities around the world, the stumbling block that I had is I would come to an inventor like yourself that doesn't have a product. Well, how do you get it manufactured? And that's where they come in and have all those contacts to get it.
It's all the different factors you gotta consider.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Not just the cost of it, but quality, distance, tariffs.
Right.
that's why I went to the US, because I was terrified of going to China.
And that's why it really, I like to say it takes a tribe really to bring a product to market. You've got to have specialized people in all those different areas to make it happen. And it's the three cogs I talked about originally. The inventor or,
Yeah.
it takes the
Unless you got
manufacturer
full time to work on it, but even then it's tough.
and
most
the
people
marketing
don't.
person
Yeah.
within the whole thing. Because in today's marketing, you've got direct to consumer. So you got Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Tundra, Flare. There's tons of them out there that you can get on, as well as you can go to direct to some of the specialized ones. In fact, we're putting a product on Chewy here fairly soon, which is a pet supplies website. And then you start talking their website, and then you start talking wholesale channels. So how do you get into those? You've been very successful with a few with yours, but as you can attest to, the wholesale channel is hard.
Yeah, I can do arrangemate.com, which
Yeah.
is a site that has 80 retailers that
Yeah.
just bring product in through the site. And I haven't even gotten one return, one email back.
Yep.
So it's been frustrating to try to get into.
Yeah, my first product that I developed that I brought to market was Be Crazy Honey Sticks, and I still have that product now. in
Was
my
what?
company. Be Crazy Honey Sticks. So flavored honey sticks.
No way.
So we've got 25 different flavors right now. We've got them in 2,600 locations coast to coast out of my warehouse.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
no way, that's you?
yeah, and I've developed it, and then we ship those through a lot of different places, and then I developed the display that you see around the country too. So those all come through my warehouse also. And from that, I've developed, other things for other people. I came out of marketing, and that's what I love doing, and seeing people's products succeed.
So get information on Carmine, go to your website, or just talk to you, or?
Yeah, talk to me.
I don't know his last name.
Carmine Danisco. Okay. Yeah,
I could find him probably on one of these. All right, perfect. Yeah, that's me.
perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great luck. Yeah, and I do a lot of,
What is this thing?
It's called the Big Squeeze.
Because I have a friend who's a hairstylist.
The big squeeze.
The Big Squeeze. Big Squeeze.
What-
Big Squeeze. That's for getting everything out of your metal plastic tubes. So you put your.
I see. Oh, like a
Toothpaste, yeah.
commercial.
It's like oil paints or pharmaceuticals. I have a guy, actually in the
Oh, I
pharmaceutical
see.
world, that actually sells a $1,700 tube squeezer and a $3,000 automated one for compound pharmacies.
Oh,
And, because they have to empty like hundreds of tubes a day to mix different compounds. So
And that.
he's interested in buying this to sell to his 10,000 pharmacies that only, like the smaller mom and pop shops that are only gonna squeeze out 5 tubes a day. They want to get everything out, so.
That product in there is expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pharmaceutical.
Oh, I see that.
So, it's a product the tube bringer's been on the market for like 40, 50 years. And it's really antiquated design, so I just wanted to improve upon the design.
can I see it?
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
And so,
Well, thanks, Roger.
You bet. So
Appreciate
you got
that.
some good information.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.
Manufacturers, a lot of them just have those connections to make sure they.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I did them, right now.
You know, getting the garments, going out and doing it yourself and then embroidered.
okay.
Good to see you.
Yeah. I think you're in good spot. You're one of the fun spots.
I'm excited, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
been some money put into it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, okay, I get it, I mean, yeah, I get it, but,
You'd have to really.
I remember,
You know, be like a.
going with
Nick.
it was all coming, you know, my beer, it was cumbersome, I think, it's gotta be way to hold these things. I have like, I have like duffel bags, you know,
I've seen those. They kind of like over the shoulder.
Oh, yeah, hold like CDs, like, you know, some of these guys have 50 of these things on them. I mean, they're all different weights.
Really?
Yeah, cause it's like a driver.
Yeah, I've played it
Yeah,
before.
there you go.
Yep.
So anyway, it's just kind
I
of.
got one, my warehouse in Scottsdale, Nebraska, my kids helped design one with the Boy Scouts. Well, actually, a Boy Scout is his first Eagle Project. Up in the, because right above Scotts Bluff, you have bluffs and stuff.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a rugged area. They put up one, a course up in the bluff. Well, this is tough. And I went hiking, it was down canyons and.
You live out here, right?
I live in Scotts Bluff, Nebraska.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, we go up to the mountains.
Yeah.
In the summer, Arapahoe Basin ski area.
Oh, really? They do it there?
They have an 18 hole, and you literally, you're on the run. And like, you look down and it's all like, I go, dude, I said, Nick, I should just throw this in the trash right now, because these are hard to throw. I ain't gonna get this back. And sure enough, it was gone. You know? So that's why everyone writes their names on the back. Minimum
I
$8.
have a whole set. I don't have 50 of them, but I have a few.
Some of these guys, you know, and then they have like one that would go on your belt loop, that would hold like one or two. Like, it's gotta be the best, you know, you hold two here, you know.
I don't go to those places that have rough on the side.
Yeah.
They have one place that's got like this high, so you go like that.
Just throw it in the trash. I think it's
Thank you.
Yeah. Just, so you generally just do the marketing side or?
I do the marketing side, but I also run the Denver market for Adventures Launchpad, so.
Okay.
For the manufacturing side, so I help facilitate that through them.
Okay.
They make that all happen.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is, look at a product and whatever results you want your customers. We take that product from where you're at, manufacturing, and vet that throughout the country. Come back with. And then create a marketing plan and check the market.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Do you have any, how many clients you work with? You said you were a startup? I heard over
Yeah,
here.
we're pretty much.
When'd you start up?
stage. Well, we're startup stage as far as the 3D printing and all that.
Okay, okay.
Like we just moved into our first office like 2
Cool.
weeks ago.
Fun.
So, yeah, we're, yeah.
So were you working out of your house before, or you just went the 9 to 5?
So, I guess my journey was, my first, experience was actually getting joined the startup team and help them take their product to market as the engineer.
Okay.
Then, I then separated and went out and did my own thing as a 3D printing shop.
Okay.
Together a team,
Yep.
and then went out and got the office, so we're pretty new in the game.
Okay.
On that respect.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're just looking for clients and getting the impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing and how you're doing it and how we can help. I'm not an engineer, I'm working with a couple different firms, one in Boulder right now, some ties is out of Fort Collins. We're actually doing a project with that fertilizer I was talking about, we're doing a study on it here in the United States, CSU right now.
Yes.
And we're taking the actual dirt from my farm in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, hauling it down here to CSU. And my ground's a little bit better than stuff around here
Yes.
to do the studies on it, so it's been a fun project though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's a great project.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, no, I'd love to learn more about, get some context on Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm definitely interested in,
Oh, you have a card? Okay, I was gonna have you write it down.
Yeah, but we don't have one yet, again, you know.
Yeah, and I'll facilitate everything for you.
yeah, I mean, definitely, yeah. Right now, my plan, because I have a lot of expensive tooling and stuff, I don't want to like do tooling, but I want to get the aluminum extrusion done somewhere else, because my peers, they're charging me like 45 cents a piece, I think in Colorado. And I mean, the tools are so cheap, I mean, I can take that one somewhere, or just get a new tool.
That is really heavy duty.
Yeah, yeah, no, zinc, die cast.
So it may be something for Mexico, it really could be.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the shipping costs will kill me.
Essentially, it's how to
Oh,
design
right.
products.
Do you think it's even worth
And
it?
how to get people to get our products.
Right there. Price down, see what I can come back with.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get the pins, the gears, the packaging.
The nice thing about working with Vendors Launchpad is they've already vetted all these places, they've already worked with them.
So how does that work? Say, I don't want the whole thing made, I just want it.
Yeah.
You can do that too. Yeah. They just source it and you guys essentially can do the, I don't speak Spanish.
So you're talking about do all the components, bring it back here, then.
Well,
then
just a
final
few
assembly?
things. So,
It's all about designing your product.
I thought about having.
Well, it's good in a sense that you have an idea, but it takes to get it out there.
Yeah, I sold over $250,000 worth of stuff. But it's
Like, do
been,
not send you.
it's a long process, so I'm interested.